In every town, there are people of great importance, people who hold the community together. Jairus was one such man. He was a ruler of the synagogue, a place of prayer, a place of learning. His word carried weight. His presence demanded respect. People looked to him for guidance. People looked to him for wisdom. People looked to him for leadership in matters of faith. He was a pillar of his society, but deep within him, a new belief was taking root. He had heard stories of a man named Jesus, a teacher who spoke in ways both new and ancient, a healer who performed miracles. This growing belief was a heavy secret. It created a conflict between public duty and private heart. Jairus could not speak of this, not to colleagues in the synagogue, not to the elders, not even to his closest friends. To speak would risk everything: his position, his reputation, his family's standing. This secret faith was a seed, planted in the fertile ground of a searching soul, waiting to break through the surface. It was a lonely journey, a path he walked alone. To understand the risk Jairus faced, you must understand his world. The synagogue was the center of Jewish life. It was more than a place of worship, a court, a school, a community hall. As a ruler, Jairus was one of its chief administrators, maintaining order, selecting who would read from the Holy Scrolls, ensuring that the traditions were honored. In this world, Jesus was a disruptive force. He challenged the authority of the religious leaders. He healed on the Sabbath, forbidden by their interpretation of the law. He ate with tax collectors. He ate with sinners, people the respectable society shunned. To the synagogue rulers and Pharisees, Jesus was a threat. Following him wasn't just personal belief, it was a political act, choosing a side in a nation-dividing conflict. An open declaration of support would have been professional suicide for Jairus, immediately dismissed from his position, ostracized, labeled a heretic. His family shared the disgrace. No one would do business with them. So he kept his curiosity a closely guarded secret. Life has a way of pushing us past our fears. For Jairus, that push came in the form of a devastating illness. His daughter, his only child, fell gravely ill. She was just 12 years old, close to the very beginning of her life. We can imagine the scene in his comfortable home. Doctors coming and going, shaking their heads, remedies offered, poultices applied. Nothing worked. The fever would not break. Day after day, he watched her slip away. Her breathing grew fainter. Her strength faded. Laughter gave way to heavy, anxious silence. All his status, all his wealth, his influence, meant nothing against the sickness. A ruler of the synagogue, a man of power, yet powerless to save his own child. He would have prayed. He would have gone to the synagogue. He would have recited ancient psalms, begging God for mercy. He would have offered sacrifices. He would have pleaded with the Almighty. Still, his daughter grew worse. Desperation replaced grief. The fear of losing her outpaced every other fear. So he kept his curiosity a closely guarded secret. Finding Jesus was not easy. The healer was surrounded by a great crowd. They pressed in on him from all sides. Some wanted healing, others wanted to hear him teach. Some were just curious. Jairus, the respected synagogue ruler, had to push his way through. He was used to people making way for him. But here, he was just another desperate person. He set aside his pride and his dignity. His fine robes likely became dusty and disheveled as he shoved through the throng. His only focus was getting to Jesus. When he finally reached him, Jairus did something shocking. He fell at Jesus' feet, a ruler bowing in the dirt. Total humility. He publicly acknowledged Jesus' authority.
My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live.
Jesus agreed to go with him. The journey was slow. The crowd pressed in, delaying them. During the walk, another event happened. A woman sick for 12 years reached out and touched the edge of Jesus' cloak. For Jairus, the delay was agonizing. Every passing second risked his daughter's life. Then the worst news arrived.
Messengers, your daughter is dead. Why bother the teacher anymore? Narrator, messengers from his house came running. They told him.
Hope shattered in an instant. It was over. He was too late. The tiny flame of his faith seemed extinguished by grief. Just as despair threatened to consume Jairus, Jesus turned to him. He had overheard the messengers.
Don't be afraid, just believe.
It was a simple command, but it was everything. In that moment, Jesus was asking Jairus to choose faith over what his eyes and ears were telling him. When they arrived at his house, it was already a scene of mourning. The home that was once filled with his daughter's life was now filled with the chaos of ritualized grief.
Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead but asleep.
Jesus, however, was not deterred by their scorn. He put them all outside. He took only the girl's father and mother, Peter, James, John, into the room where the child was lying. The noise and chaos of the mourners faded away, leaving a sacred silence. Jesus walked over to the bed. He took the girl's cold hand in his.
Talitha cum, which means, little girl, I say to you, get up.
And then, the impossible happened. Instantly, the 12-year-old girl sat up. She opened her eyes. She got off the bed and began to walk around. Life had returned to her body. The stillness of death was replaced by the warmth and movement of life. Jairus and his wife were completely overwhelmed, overcome with astonishment and joy. They had witnessed a miracle that defied all logic and experience. Their daughter, who they had been mourning just moments before, was alive and well. Jesus simply told them to give her something to eat, a practical instruction in the midst of a divine event. In that miraculous room, Jairus was transformed. His faith, which had started as a secret whisper in his heart, had been tested by desperation, made public through humility, and finally confirmed by the ultimate miracle. He had walked a path from quiet curiosity to bold action, and now he stood as a witness to the power of God over death itself. The fear that had once held him captive, the fear of what others would think, of losing his position, seemed insignificant now. He had faced the far greater fear of losing his child, and had seen that fear conquered by a faith he had dared to act upon. His relationship with his own religion must have changed forever. He was still a ruler of the synagogue, but he now understood God in a way that went beyond scrolls and traditions. He had experienced God's power firsthand. He now had a story to tell, a testimony that was more powerful than any sermon he could ever deliver. His life was no longer divided between a public role and a private belief. His faith was now real, tested, and whole. We can learn a great deal from the journey of this synagogue ruler. Jairus shows us that faith can begin in secret, but he also shows us that there are moments when that faith must be acted upon. Love and desperation drove him to take a risk, to step out of the shadows and into the light. He teaches us that true humility is not weakness, but a strength that allows us to seek help from a power greater than our own, no matter the cost to our pride or our standing. Ultimately, the story of Jairus is a powerful lesson in courage. He was afraid, but he acted anyway. He faced the ridicule of his community and the finality of death, but he chose to trust. His story reminds us that even when our circumstances seem hopeless, even when the world tells us it's too late, a simple instruction can change everything. Don't be afraid, just believe. It is a call to all of us, to hold on to faith even when it is difficult, and to have the courage to trust that there is hope beyond what our eyes can see.